Thank you, Kate Smurthwaite. Closing the debate, we have Miss Tracy Blackwell. Tracy Blackwell is the CEO of Pension Insurance Corporation, a specialist insurer of pension schemes in the United Kingdom. With almost 50 billion worth of assets, PIC is a significant investor in Britain's social housing, renewable energy sector, and universities. Ms. Blackwell, you have the ear of the House.
So the problem with going last is pretty much everybody's already made your points. So let's just try and power through and see how we get there. So I'm the only speaker here who isn't an academic or an activist or a politician. I actually work in the free markets. I actually run a business and I've started a business. So I come at it from a slightly different perspective, and I hope that works for everyone. I'm standing here because of free markets. Because of free markets, I was able to start my business in 2006, and that business filled a specific need that people wanted. Because of free markets, my business employs over 500 people and looks after all of those families. So I think I did feed a few mouths today. Because of free markets, we are able to safeguard the pensions of over 300,000 people in the UK. And last year, because of free markets, we paid enough tax to fund over 6,000 nurses. Also, because of free markets, we were able to invest in the largest urban regeneration in the country, amongst many other things, including social housing, renewable energy, etc. Freedom and free markets go together. Democracy and free markets go together. Without free markets, there is no freedom. Democracy and free markets are all based on the same fundamental principle, which is about choice, of which we've heard some about tonight. Choice to live where you want, rather than where someone assigns you to live. Choice to paint your kitchen purple if you want to, rather than the mandated blue stripes. Choice to buy the car you want, the one that doesn't break down, because the consumer has a choice to buy the model that doesn't break down. And that drives all the standards higher. Choice to wear silver glitter in your hair, because someone thought you might wear it, so they made it. And they thought they could make a profit out of it, so they could buy their children the shoes they wanted, and so the whole cycle starts again. Choice is the definition of freedom. I'm just getting started. I was going to bring up the Berlin Wall example, because there is a question of why all those people, what were they trying to get to across that Berlin Wall? They were doing it so they could have a choice to live and shop and work as they wanted to, the definition of choice. Why do the economic migrants who are trying to get to our shores into Europe, why are they trying to do so? Because here they have choice, not just in terms of their political system, but where they work, what they can buy, what they can do with all of that. It's all about choice. Choice means freedom. Yes. I'm not a historian. I don't know, but it is an example. A common refrain of what we hear today as well is that people don't have a stake in this whole bonanza of a system. Wide ownership of capital, of property, is absolutely essential to free markets. Everyone can participate. That is exactly the point of it. The joint public stock company, what you know as stocks and shares, was one of the greatest democratizers of all time. Suddenly, everyone could have a stake in the system. Everyone, not just the elite, but every single person out there. Everyone could own a slice of that future and then pass it down to future generations, which is the human imperative. That's what people want to do. The privatizations of the state-run companies in the 1980s was suddenly meant that huge numbers of people could actually participate in the economic miracle. That was the choice. And this ownership has the added benefit that it is intergenerational. Today, the savings of the pensioners whose savings I look after and my colleagues are invested in things like social housing, renewable energy, infrastructure, and even universities such as these, your colleges, and your university accommodation. It's precisely because markets are free that we can look and we can choose where is the best place to invest. Nobody tells us where to invest. We find the best places to invest. That's our choice. And today, despite the rhetoric that is very, very popular right now, even more people have a choice through a system called auto-enrollment, which is all about people's pensions. Each one of your parents, grandparents, saving into their pension. Literally millions more people own a stake in the economy They probably don't even know they do. Today, everyone can choose. All of you can choose, and you have a choice. It comes back to choice. You can have that £20 and go to the cinema, or you can take that £20 and invest in the economy through stock shares, whatever it is, so you can actually have a stake in this miracle as well. But that's the essence of it. You have a choice. You have a choice not to own it. You don't have to. You can do whatever you like with it, and that's the whole point. You have the freedom to do with what you want with your stuff. But you also have the responsibility and everything that goes along with it. Again, it's about your ability to choose. We've heard about how freedom and all of this freedom, free markets drives innovation. That's an incredibly important part of it. Innovation comes because, because companies think they can come on to the next thing. The entire green revolution is being driven by free markets. It's not being driven by just one thing. It's not being driven by governments. It is driven by companies who are coming up with new things. I think I have one over there. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. How about electric cars? Electric cars didn't come from the government. It came from private sector companies and free markets who are coming up with it. Not something I've ever heard of, I'm sorry. Okay. But like democracy, free markets are messy. We've heard all about that tonight. There is no such thing as a pure free market. Really, it doesn't exist. And so it's very, I don't think anybody on this bench is arguing for a completely free market. It just doesn't exist. It's absolutely impossible. And Winston Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others. And I would make that same case for free markets. The messy, glorious thing is where ideas are born. But it's messy and it's hard. And creative destruction, we heard about that as well. Creative destruction is the cornerstone of free markets. The best ideas win out. And that means that some people lose out. And some things fall by the wayside. It isn't a bug of the system. It is a feature. But they're messy in other ways too. And governments sometimes have to step in. Government is the counterweight to free markets, but democracy is the counterweight to ensure that those governments don't descend into tyranny. People in power will always try to control markets and government. As with democracy, that is where the problems start. It goes wrong when one person or group or whatever it is think they know better than the market. They know better than the millions of tiny decisions that are made by people in their choices every day. Whether they watch reality TV or not, whatever they do, everybody has a choice in the system. I would argue that in a lot of ways, the current issues we face right now have a lot to do with a lack of free markets. Following the financial crisis, governments developed a very bad spending habit. And they realized that by printing lots of money, they could fund that spending habit at artificially low interest rates, the lowest for 1,000 years. Yes. That is a very long conversation and not part of my argument. By holding the price of money low at artificially low levels for too long, central banks and governments interfered with the freest market there is, which is the price of money. Creative destruction stopped. Bad ideas or those that were past their time were allowed to survive because the cost of doing so was so low. Inflation, which is what we have now, always follows easy money. The price of money was not allowed to operate freely. Kate also mentioned the US healthcare system. That is the least free market in the entire world, I would suspect. Powerful business people lobbying and funding political parties, they ensure that free markets are anything but. The pillars that have kept the market free and fair are being eroded. Little by little, markets are actually becoming less free and in the interest of a narrow group of parties. That's the argument for free markets. Okay. No, I'm not at all. I'm asking for the market to operate as it should.
Are able to profit to a greater degree. You're asking for government intervention to support your business by raising interest rates.
No, I'm just asking for the market to operate as it's supposed to, which is free, rather than being artificially suppressed. That is not a free market. That is a controlled market. Free markets are not the enemy of freedom and democracy. They are the bedrock of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blackwell, and thank you to all our speakers for taking the time to be with us here today. In this House, we vote by our feet. If you agree with the motion, please walk down the aisle doors. If you disagree with the motion, please walk down the noes. And if you're unsure, please walk down the middle. We will announce the results in the bar, so I'll see you all there.